Meet the Shinkansen train in Japan. In May of 2007, I rode this train with my friend from Osaka to Tokyo. It goes up to 360 kilometers per hour, which is roughly 224 miles per hour. A 5.5-hour bus trip from Osaka to Tokyo now takes about 2.5 hours on the Shinkansen. It looked like I shot a video and fast-forwarded it.
Yeah. Oh, if it's recording sound, then maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody who's watching this, we are not fast-forwarding right now. This is real time.
The first Shinkansen line opened in 1964 and went up to 200 kilometers or 125 miles per hour. This technology is over 50 years old. In the United States, we have Amtrak. Amtrak offers service all over the country, but the schedules are limited. The trains are often slow and arrive late. This train from Grand Rapids, Michigan to Chicago, Illinois only leaves once a day and sometimes arrives a half hour to an hour late. On most of Amtrak's routes, it rents the rail lines from freight trains. So if a freight train has to use the same track to get somewhere, the passenger Amtrak train has to wait. This is why Amtrak trains run so slow at times, or they simply just sit in one place for a half hour or so. In 2002, the US government almost closed Amtrak for good because it was so far in debt and had never turned a profit. Amtrak had to take a $100 million loan and then ask the federal government for another $100 million just to keep it running. That's $200 million Amtrak needed just to stay afloat. That's a lot of money, huh? That's the same amount the federal government spent the same year just to add 4 lanes to Interstate 95. This was just one project. Another $600 million was spent for another interchange on the interstate highway system. That's just 2 projects that cost 4 times what Amtrak had to beg for. The federal government also gave $5.4 billion to expand the Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport in 2001, $3.4 billion for the St. Louis Airport expansion, $3 billion for the Washington Dulles Airport expansion, $12 billion for the Los Angeles LAX airport expansion. Oh, and then a $112 million aesthetic upgrade thrown in there as well. This adds up to a $23,912 million subsidy to the airline industry just 1 year before the federal government complained that it could no longer afford to subsidize Amtrak. That's not even counting the $15 billion bailout after the 9/11 attacks. If U.S. airlines were held to the same standards as Amtrak to make a profit without heavy government subsidies, they would all go out of business. Many argue that highway costs are completely covered by highway user fees, but this isn't true. In 1994, for example, user fees covered 60% of the costs. The other 40% was subsidized by non-highway users, which includes highway construction, maintenance, and traffic control. Far from profitable. Another thing that most people have forgotten is that the United States used to be covered with an intercity and urban passenger train network, all run by private companies. But starting in the 1920s, a handful of auto companies, including General Motors and Firestone, bought them up, tore the tracks out, then lobbied the federal government to heavily subsidize roads, which of course it did. And if none of that bothers you, you have to at least ask yourself, why is it that the world's only superpower still has a third world rail system, while Japan's privately owned, for-profit Shinkansen successfully serves millions of passengers every day?